Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is Thursday, July 23rd, and before we get started, I just kind of wanted to see how many gravitational shards I had in here to see if I could get this upgrade. No. Okay. I've been crafting a lot of stuff, so I was kind of hoping I'd cross that threshold for power or recipes, but that's okay. This guy is doing just fine as it is. But we really only have one main thing to talk about today. It's the only thing I've done, which was I did, in fact, finally craft and set up the Bose-Einstein multi-blocks over here. Now, I was a little worried I wouldn't get this done today. My server apparently crashed last night, and as far as I could tell from the logs, it crashed before midnight, so lost a bit of crafting time there, but honestly, I still had this guy crafted right around lunch and started trying to figure out where to put it. Ultimately, what I decided was just inside this big old mountain that's right next to the Forge of the Gods that I set up. Just I wanted a really big... This was where I was originally going to set up that draconium reactor, but I still haven't set that up. That'll just be kind of a side project whenever I need chaos shards again. But set this guy up in here. I wasn't sure how much space I would need, how many of these arrays I would need. Now I'm thinking about it. If I do need more, I'll probably have to move this platform over. Maybe. Actually, it should be fine. I think it'll reach right here, if I remember. If it's... Nah, that shouldn't be an issue. But or like how they configure it or what have you. But anyways, so, I mean, aside from the crafting recipes for these being the individual blocks, honestly, not too bad. It's just the sheer volume of blocks. Like, honestly, this thing is so big that when I was sitting there with the schematic on the controller, I kept thinking the building of it was, like, frozen because it took so long to build just off the schematic by itself. So my original plan was to throw it here. Then, so this guy, just make sure I'm starting calling them the right names. This guy is the observation array. This is essentially, for all intents and purposes, is the main crafting block. This guy is the condensate containment, if I remember correctly. Yeah, condensate containment field. Essentially, this guy is a big old storage block. This guy is the condensate apparatus. This basically converts any fluids coming into condensate, which gets stored down here. This guy is called a Maxwell gate, and apparently it filters condensate. It takes it in one side and out one out the other. As you can see by the fact that I don't have the other side hooked up, I'm not really using this. I'm sure there will be a point where this is even necessary, or maybe the next update will change how this works slightly, but as far as I can tell right now, it doesn't appear to be necessary. But we'll get to that here in a second. And the last thing is this teleportation array, which, while this is the crafter, this is where, like, if you're looking for the controller to see which one's running, it's this guy, and that guy tells you how the craft's running and all that jazz. So the way I set it up, I wasn't sure how many patterns I would need and stuff, and I also had a couple weird things happen the first pattern I ran. So my original thing was I brought in a channel, or a new channel, obviously. This is the white network for me, is always the main network. Blue is generally in, orange is generally out. And I wasn't sure how many circuits I would need, so I did a separate in versus a separate out, which I figured would make the most sense anyways, for the way I have this all set up. So basically, I've got this coming in, got a regular old dual interface pattern here. I don't have it on blocking mode or anything like that yet. It's just in, dump the items. I actually do want to, now that I'm saying that, I do want to get rid of this real quick. That was a test thing. And I don't... Oh. Yeah, I don't need that there right now. I might put it back, and I'll explain why here in a second. But essentially, I've got 10 fluid storage cells there appears to be, as far as I can tell, for the apparatus, only 10 different condensate fluids. Oh no, there's 20. Okay, never mind. I was being silly. There's 10 pages of fluids, but 10. Anywho, you don't want to, as far as I know, you wouldn't want all of them anyways, but if worst case, I'll throw a second ME drive here with more cells. So we have the pattern set up. Let's use this UMV component block, for example. I've done it similar to the nano complex ones where I used a little arrow, brought this into the pattern, and then for like, say, here, we'll just do an example pattern. If we go over to the processing pattern, you can see UMV down there. It comes in. Notice though, even though these look like the proper fluids, not the condensate, it does say condensate on the side. So for example, if we're doing dimensionally shifted, I would just come in here, click on this guy, and then drag this over here. And I was this many years old when I realized you could just right click, or not right click, middle click, and it'll let you just type in the amount here. The way I've historically done this is I'll add it to my bookmarks and then like scroll up to the right amount or fine tune it to the right amount. I don't know if that's a new feature because they do 2.9 also added the ability to rename items in your patterns with right click. Didn't do that because I control there and I could like rename this pattern and stuff. For what it works well for like when you need like multiple foils for advanced or for assembly line recipes and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I set up the patterns. So I got them coming in here. The fluids all get directed over to this apparatus here, and I'm just using advanced stocking input hatch, and I set it to refresh every 20 ticks. So this should pull in every single fluid over there and then turn them into the condensate, which the condensate, the big guy, the apparatus, and the storage unit are all connected through this cable. So it runs through here, gets stored in here, and then all the items from here. Right now, I just have a storage bus and an input bus. I used a big one because I don't have blocking mode on. And I didn't use a super because I'm trying to get out of the habit of using the super input buses since those are technically depreciated. But then they all come here and this guy runs. Now, that seemed to work for the most part until... oh, excuse me. There's one other thing you have to do. So the other thing the big guy does is it supplies nanites for the recipe. It appears you need certain tiers of nanites to do certain recipes. For example, again, this UMV component block, it says it needs a tier 4. So you can see I have a wireless hub here that's not activated. I wasn't sure if this would run like the PCB factory where you just throw the nanites in and then boom, you're good. You don't have to touch them. They don't get used up. They don't appear to get used up, so that's great. However, I went with tier 5 nanites, these 6-phase copper, because that is honestly pretty cheap. So it was no big deal to go with a tier 5. I'll have to pay attention to recipes. As far as I can tell, the next tier of nanite I don't have access to, which is white dwarf matter nanites appears to be the tier 6. So this is as high as I can go right now, I'm pretty sure, when I scrolled through all those. But yeah, I threw these in. These seem to affect the speed of this guy. Like, for example, when I started, I had 4 nanites in the NA2 just sitting around. So I threw 4 in there. And the first recipes I was crafting were these primitive shielding and primitive energy conduits. And it was, not gonna lie, pretty slow. However, once I threw in a ton of nanites, you can see I have like over 900 in there. Now, I don't know if they scale at the same rate as the PCB factory, where like if not, like each one doesn't speed it up. It's like tiers like 1, 5, etc., etc. I don't remember what the numbers are from the PCB factory. But what I noticed though is once I threw a lot of nanites in, this would this would fail because I didn't have condensate in the system and then void the first recipe, which then turned into a big problem later on when it compounded for the component block, because So the first one, in my case, the way it like played out for me was I put all this in, it power failed one of these primitive shieldings. So then I just did like I just called I called an A2 for the system to craft another one. So I crafted that. And then when it went to craft the component casing, it failed the recipe because I had the leftover condensate from the failed recipe. And as far as maybe that is where this guy will come in handy, but I'm not really sure. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't wrapped my mind quite around how to use this effectively, and I might just be missing a mechanic to clear out extra condensate. So down here, you can clear out condensate by lowering the amount of storage, and it'll eventually void. Right now, I just have the storage set to this amount because you use 1 EU per tick. So this is 1 amp of UMV, more than I should ever need. But to clear the condensate, I just broke the block. But then also, just because then I tried to craft the component block again, and then after I broke that block, I thought I'd cancel the recipe, but it still dumped the item. So, and the items weren't visible in the storage block, like bus anymore. Like this thing had absorbed them. There was no way to get them back. So I had to sit here and keep pressing power and power failing, or just failing the recipe over and over again until it finally cleared itself out. Like I tried breaking this controller, the controller down there, that didn't seem to work. So what I implemented, and it seems to have worked, is down here, there is a condensate detector hatch that appears. Keep right clicking with items that we don't need. I might just go bare hands. So this guy back here, you just throw in a threshold. I didn't put a filter on here because I just wanted to give off a redstone signal when I put 143 because most of the lowest recipe I know of is 144 liters. Now this guy works opposite the way you would think. If it's below this threshold, this redstone signal's on. So I just threw a NOT gate on here. I mean, technically you could just reverse the machine controller, but for me, I like redstone signal equals on versus the opposite way. So yeah, once this gets condensate in it, it turns on the teleportation apparatus up there and it crafts a recipe. The reason there's a delay though is because when you dump the items in, that thing goes too fast from the nanites, but it still needs to wait for the condensate from this guy over here. Now I haven't like done a mass amount of crafting since I've implemented this system. I just tested it to craft this guy, which it seems to work. So I don't know, I'll probably have updates over the next few days of how to, or changes I make to this, because there's not really any documentation I can find. I swear there was a wiki site for a bit, but the wiki site doesn't seem to currently exist either, so maybe it's being edited. I even tried this in-game what the heck was it? Where tips and tricks. Oh yeah, this in-game guide. I clicked on this, but all of this appears to be gone as well. Like I don't have any of this because I was like, oh, maybe they threw the information in here and I'll be cheeky and actually use the in-game thing. I have not set it to a hotkey on this computer yet. In-game? Game? What the heck was this? Oh, guide. Guide. Set this down here. And yeah, it appears to be empty right now, so I don't know. But yeah, it works as far as I can tell, so I can get my UMV component blocks again, which is good because now I can go about upgrading these nano assembly complexes out here, get all of them upgraded to UMV, as well as my second set of component assembly lines over here. So because right now I have the recipe split across these instead of utilizing both of them, hasn't really been too much of a bottleneck, but it would be nice to get them being able to use them to their full potential. My goal for tonight / tomorrow is to set up the bulk pattern and bulk fake pattern, I should say, for the Dyson swarm, so I can craft a second one, as well as start setting up the uh, quantum computers on with cloud server hatches and all that jazz. Like I said, I didn't do anything today besides set that guy up or finish crafting it and setting it up. So I am excited I got it done. And now it'll just be shoring up the base a little bit before trying to push forward. Because I did last thing I swear for the going forward. So this last module, the Helio Fusion Exerciser, I tried setting a pattern in here because I didn't realize this is actually this is another like logic puzzle, so to speak, to get this running properly. I thought it was just a bunch of different patterns to get the same thing. So at some point in the next few days, I'll have to figure out and set this guy up as well. And then, yeah, it'll be kind of move forward, I think, for a little bit here. I got to shore up some power, shore up my infrastructure a little bit more, and then figure out where to start going next. But yeah, anyways, I hope everybody had a good day. I appreciate you for watching, and I hope you have a good night. Goodbye.